Got that? Okay. All right. Welcome everyone to Wake the Fuck Up Wednesday. I'm back in Alaska and it is cold. It's not cold as fuck. It's just cold. But I went for an awesome ski yesterday. It was great. It was awesome. I loved it. Had a super good time. And fresh snow, like my eyelashes were coated with ice. Hey, girl. Hey, what's up, Heidi? Ding. All right, y'all. So listen, today I want to talk about doubt. So, not just the doubt, like in episode 88 of the podcast, I talked about imposter syndrome, which is really focused on like people are going to figure me out and find out I'm a fraud. This is doubt about a lot of stuff. And one of the things that kind of spurred me to do an episode on this was that so many of my clients were like, I'm not sure meditation works. Or like, I'm not sure meditation is right for me. Or, kind of expanding out from the practice aspect of it. Like, I'm not sure this is a good business idea, or I'm not sure about this or that or the other thing, right? So I wanted to talk about doubt in general today because it's so common, okay? So in Buddhism, there's the 5 hindrances, all right? So the 5 hindrances are mental states that impede our progress in meditation and in our daily lives. So we're encouraged to like get familiar with them and learn how to work with them, right? So the 5 primary ones, and you may discover some other ones that are your own, they're desire for sense pleasure, things that feel good, aversion, and in an extreme end, like hatred, anger, and ill will, apathy or laziness, restlessness and anxiousness, and doubt. So doubt is what we're going to talk about today, that hindrance. And it's probably one of the hardest ones to address because we really start to believe our doubtful thoughts, right? We start to hear things like, I'm not cut out for this, or this would have been easier if I was actually good at this, or people would be flocking to me if what I was creating was something people really wanted. And it's very common for doubt to show up and for us to believe it. Like we hear that shit and we're like, yeah, that must be true, right? So that's why it's so sneaky. All right, so today I want to jam about the medicine for that, the antidote to when doubt arises. So the other day, I was kind of noticing how a lot of folks in the coaching world were sort of following very similar business practices, and that really successful coaches, like a large percentage of them are business coaches. And then for the ones that aren't business coaches, how they have a tendency to have taught in like other business coaches groups and things like that. And I just posted a thing like, hey, I'm wondering, is this like the way things are now? Because I've been a coach for 10 years and it wasn't always like that. I said, or like, can people give me examples of people doing it differently? Because I'd love to like learn about those examples, right? And I look at this like when someone first introduced me to the concept of like, you can make money without hustling. Talk about doubt. I was like, are you shitting me? I'm from an immigrant family. Like, we work hard. That's how we got out of our situation. And you're telling me that I could have done that without hustle or something, right? And I was like, show me an example. And so people show me an example. And I'm like, oh, wait, those are all like blonde hair, blue-eyed people or something, right? I was like, can you show me like BIPOC who have done this, who have achieved this? And it took a while longer, but then I got a couple examples and it was just helpful, right? Do you always need examples to counteract your doubt? No, because sometimes you're going to be the first. Isn't that exciting? I'm going to talk about what to do when you're the first in a little bit, but it's so helpful when you can just cut the bullshit going on in your brain because you're like, so-and-so did it, and therefore so can I. It's inspirational, right? Like I remember traveling in India and Nepal and how in certain countries, like spirituality is so visible. Like there's tons of monks and nuns walking around in robes. There's temples around every corner. There's incense burning in the street. And it's like this reminder of like a reminder of whatever your spiritual goals might be. And it was so inspiring to see people that had dedicated their lives to a spiritual path for me. And I was at a book launch here in Anchorage last week. And what's hilarious is it was outdoors because of COVID. And so my daughter had to be like scraping frost off of the books. It's like hardcore book launch, And so I was sitting next to a friend of mine who's a longtime meditator. And we were like, we are so lucky to have met like people that have made so much progress on the spiritual path, like in real life, like received teachings and hung out with them and spoken with them and gotten to know them, because it's like this affirmation that it's possible because we witnessed it, we experienced it. And it does help stick with your practice when you see that people that have done it have made progress. And y'all, these people didn't just fucking meditate 10 minutes a day on their cushion or even 30 minutes a day. I mean, they full on like dedicated their lives, right? And then I look at Deepa Ma, who like, because I was like, well, I'm a mother, like, is it even, I know I can make progress, but how much progress can I make as like a working mom in this particular culture? And it was like, Deepa Ma was such a good example because she was a single mom. Oh gosh, I'm totally spacing if it was Bangladesh or Bangalore. I need to read the book again, but she did it. She did long retreats and all that shit. It's like, it's possible, right? So we have inspiration when we have examples. So if you are doubting something that you want to create or something that you want to bring forth, right, into fruition, look for examples of those that have gone before you, right? Examples aren't required to succeed, but they can help, right? So yeah, so let's talk about if there's no examples available, no social proof. Well, then at least you know what you're getting into. Like you really want to buy this thing and there's no reviews about it. Well, at least you know what you're getting into, right? Or if you're going to start a business for like a totally new market or do things in a radically new way, you can do that and manage your mind for that, right? But if you aren't the first, then fucking go for it with using those that have gone before you, right? So that's one type of antidote. Now, some people disagree with that. Like some of the responses I got when I asked for that, instead of giving me examples, people are like, why do you want examples? Why does your brain need an example? Blah, blah, blah. So for me, that's like bypassing the validity of how useful inspiration can be. It's powerful. It's a powerful tool. So don't forget that. Okay. All right. So, oh, and the other thing you can do is have like talismans, right? That remind you of people that have gone before you. Like some people have pictures up on their altar or like wear prayer beads or something like that. And if you're not spiritual, could be like, or religious in that way, you could have like stones or some other symbol, right? And Jack Kornfield said, he says, I quoted it here, we can reflect on the inspiration of the hundreds of thousands of people in the spiritual life who followed the path of inner awareness and practice before us. It's been valued by every great culture to live with great wisdom and compassion. And it's possible for anyone who genuinely undertakes a training of their heart and mind. In the same way, when we doubt ourselves before starting a new venture, a new relationship, or the next big steps in our lives, we can reflect on how many others have started businesses, new ventures, and new relationships, and done so in spite of doubts. Okay? Okay. So the next thing, you can have inspiration, right? The next thing is mindfulness of doubt, because it really fucks with us when we start to believe it. So this is key in not getting hooked by doubt. Pema Chodron talks about getting hooked by an emotion. And if we get hooked by doubt, meaning often that we're starting to believe the thoughts that accompany doubt, that's when we start spiraling. But when we can become mindful of doubt, we start to see it for what it is, right? Okay, so we start with noticing when it arises. right? We notice what happens when it arises in our body. We notice, was there a trigger? Like for me, a lot of trigger of business anxiety is comparing myself to other people, like scrolling on social media or whatever and being like, oh, look at what they're up to, look what I'm up to, or oh, and they're making money faster than me, or blah, blah, blah. We just compare, right? So if I know that's a trigger, just like, stop it. And in my 20s, another trigger would, for body image bullshit, doubting my own beauty and strength and health, was looking at like Cosmo or Glamour magazine or whatever. So it was like, just cut it out, remove the trigger, right? The antecedent, because it's not like you're removing some kind of truth and ignoring some kind of truth. You're just removing triggers for like negative thoughts, right? That aren't very helpful to us. So we start to notice, right? And then we notice how long it lasts. We just sit with the doubt instead of pushing it away or trying to explain our way out of it, right? Or research our way out of it. We can just be with it. Notice how long it lasts. It often passes. And then we start to notice the transient nature of emotions and the transient nature of the mind. Yeah. We also observe its intensity. Does it arrive like a whisper? Or can it get really loud? And what is the difference? And what happens in our body when doubt arises, right? Because we often resist difficult emotions. Maybe we armor up physically and emotionally, right? So we can apply some self-compassion to that. And when we observe doubt in this more detached way, then we learn more about how, oh, this is not a fact. I have all these thoughts that are not truths. When I really examine them, when I'm really mindful of my thoughts that preceded the doubt, they aren't true, but for some reason I'm choosing to believe them, and they're creating this doubt, right? So when we acknowledge doubt and we can be present with it without getting hooked, then we can observe it and our mind becomes freer. And that's what we're here for, right? Free your mind and free your life. Because look, when we experience doubt, we start to get fucking distracted, right? How many of you out there start doubting what you're doing and you, oh, I'm in the wrong career. I need to change jobs. I need to do a different meditation practice. Maybe this one isn't cut out for me and I need to try another one. Or maybe I should stop intermittent fasting and do a master cleanse instead. Like we get so distracted, right? We like move around, we start doubting things and it creates distraction, right? And then we get hooked even more and we lose focus of our ultimate goal and what we're trying to do. So just notice how when you do get hooked, we often start spinning into what other things could work instead. Oh, maybe I should switch coaches and I'll find a different coach, or maybe I should become Sufi instead or something, right? And it's like, there is a healthy doubt. I don't even think of that as doubt though. I think of that as like a discerning mind, right? When you're like, okay, is this legit or not? In the same mind that doubts if a thought is true or not, you can examine that. I think of that more as discernment and not doubt. So here I'm really talking about doubt about your capacities, doubt about, what's going on. So I want you to realize that when doubt arises, it's totally normal. It's totally normal. So you can have like your little toolkit, right? You have your inspiration, your inspirational figures. You put them on a vision board or something. So when you start doubting, you go, this person did it. So let's talk about when you're the first, because the antidote to that is similar to another tip with working with doubt, and that's doing the thought work, right? So check out episode 18 of the podcast, because we talk about how to coach yourself in that, right? And how to do thought work. But, and in Freedom School, I do this in detail, and I do it. You get courses just on thought work, right? So we have our inspiration, we process the emotion fully, being present and mindful with it. We release resistance to it. We get curious about it, right? And then thought work is like active meditation, because doubt is a string of words in the mind, right? And it's often associated with fear or unworthiness or resistance, right? So maybe we hear the thought like, it's too hard. I can't do it. I'm not cut out for this. This isn't working, right? Then our thoughts run all over the place. We want to change our careers, our niche, or change decisions we've made, right? But when we do the thought work, we see a thought led to the doubt and not a truth. So remember, like in essence, and this is like a real short version of this, we see a situation like no one bought my program, or I'm still don't have a life partner, or I'm not as fit as I want to be still, despite all this. We look at those thoughts, right, that come about that situation. So when we have a circumstance, we want to see it in a neutral way, because whenever it's not neutral, we actually realize we're adding an opinion to it. So I'm not as fit as I should be at this point is not a circumstance. The circumstance is your current fitness level. The I don't have a life partner right now, right? That's loaded. It's like I live solo, or whatever it is. You try to do it in a neutral as a way as possible, right? No one's buying my program becomes how many people actually did buy your program? Like, even if it's just one, or even if it's just two, that becomes a neutral circumstance. Then we see, oh, so all the bullshit that I'm making up after that is thoughts. And that's what's leading to my doubt. Because I could have the thought, oh, when Steve Jobs first created a lot like the desktop computer, no one fucking wanted it. They thought it was absurd. Same thing, right? We could have different thoughts about it that are more helpful, because doubt is not helpful. It gets us stuck. It causes us to spiral. So when we look at something, put the facts in front of you. And what are the facts about this situation? And what do I think about those? And why am I choosing thoughts that lead to doubt? I can choose different thoughts. And I get it. Sometimes when you're in a funk, like, when it's dark and my seasonal affective disorder like kicks in, it's like, oh, it's so hard to do thought work. That's when your examples can be so inspirational. Like I look at the pictures I have up for inspiration and they make me smile. It's like, yeah, they're encouraging me. I can do this. So when you're the first, right? Like, what is the show with Jonathan Van Ness, like Getting Curious, or Let's Get Curious, Getting Curious. Yeah. So I was watching that the other day, and he was interviewing a Black woman professor who was she's an etymologist. And she was like, I was the first Black woman in my graduate program, the first Black woman in my fancy lab. And she was like, it'd be nice if I wasn't the first. Can we have more like fourths, fifths, sixths, sevenths, and so on? Because look, sometimes you're going to be the first and there won't be examples, right? Especially if you're a thought leader, you're going to be the first. When we don't have examples, you really have to learn this tool, because your mind, it's natural that these 5 hindrances arise. It's natural that this doubt arises. So episode 18, go there. Learn how to manage your mind when doubt arises so that it doesn't stop you, because this is all super exciting, right? When doubt arises, it's like, okay, I'm doing something edgy here, because if I wasn't, doubt wouldn't have arisen, right? It's there trying to keep us safe. This is kind of sketchy. Things aren't working out in a predictable way, it's saying, right? But look, that's an adventure. What if we made that about an adventure instead of shit's gone wrong, right? When I have anxiety arise now and things and like doubt, I say, I'm on my growth edge. This is a good thing. I am on my growth edge. Okay. So rebels, all right. It is time to realize I'm okay with an element of adventure, and I'd rather take the risk than have regrets. Take the risk rather than have regrets, okay? And when doubt arises, nothing's gone wrong. Just stay open to the adventure of life, okay? And if you want more adventures, y'all, we are still enrolling for the Adventure Mastermind. Head over to adventuremastermind.com. All right, I'm going to go meet with a client. Have an amazing week, y'all. Bye. I know, right? What was the timing there? Oh, you're so welcome. Sarah says, my tech company, we are the first ever out queer woman, out trans mass tech. Fuck yeah, that's awesome. Sarah, it's so good to see you on here. Sarah's got some cool shit she's planning. It's awesome. How is that going? You have to give us an update. You're welcome, Catherine. Hey, Sue. Welcome. All right. Bye, Melinda. Hey, take care, everyone. Oh, and I know a lot of you have dropped off already, but if you're listening to the replay, future Wake the Fuck Up Wednesdays are going to be at, I think, 11:30 Pacific. Okay, they're going to be at 11:30 Pacific because my business coach has moved our meeting to when I normally do these. So we're going to start meeting a little later. Hopefully that works out for you. So 11:30 Pacific next week and going forward. Okay. Mwah. Bye. Ciao.